And here we are. It's Wednesday, and it's National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. Maybe you didn't know that. I didn't know that. It's also time for our weekly episode of Mr. Cashflow Live. These weekly broadcasts are designed to help you increase your business or practice's cash flow, introduce you to some great people along the way, and some subject matter experts that can be of help to you and your business or your practice. The recorded version of this live stream can be found on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to be notified whenever we go live, just subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell icon, and you'll get notified every time we begin to go live. Feel free to ask questions as we go along today. We'll try and answer them live. If you're watching the recorded version, welcome. We'll get those answers back to you by email. Go ahead and leave questions. We will see them and we will get back to you. Today's episode is specifically and especially for those of you in the world of dentistry. I've worked with dental and oral surgery practices now for over 30 years, working with them to help improve their cash flow and make their practices flourish. I am thoroughly excited today that my guest is my good friend, Sarah Leath. Sarah is the president and founder of DentalCare Solutions and Right Eye Consulting. We got to ask about that one. She's been in the dental industry for over 35 years, even longer than me. And we'll be talking today about the benefits of outsourcing your practice's billing. So, Sarah, welcome to Mr. Cashflow Live. I am so glad to have you with me today.
Hi, David. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be on.
My pleasure, absolutely. So, I got to ask, before we get into outsourcing your billing, DentalCare Solutions, I totally understand. You take care of dental practices. Where did the name Right Eye Consulting come from?
Well, I get asked that question a lot.
I bet.
In fact, a lot of people think, when they read that I have something to do with optometry. And I'm like, no, that's not quite the case. As you said, I've been in the dental industry for a long, long time. And I started consulting back in 2005. And I didn't have a name for my company at the moment. And this gentleman that I was dating, his friend told us, whatever you do, don't look in each other's right eye when you're less than an inch away from each other. And it's like, what's that about? And he's like, because then your souls will be bound for all eternity. And so we kind of chuckled and laughed about it. And then when I was looking for a logo for my business, I came across the Eye of Ra and decided that I would name my consulting company Right Eye Consulting. So there you have it.
Well, there you go. And it works because I'm sure that causes people to ask you about it and the conversation can begin from there. So,
Absolutely.
All right, we're talking about outsourcing dental billing, especially insurance billing. Why would a dental office decide to consider outsourcing their billing?
Well, David, there's lots of reasons. Two of the primary reasons, though, are time and talent. In this day and age, talent is hard to find. Practices across the country are searching to hire more individuals for their practices, whether it be, hygienists, assistants, front office, billing, managers. They're just short-staffed overall. And, even when they are consider themselves fully staffed, a lot of times they're still short-handed, unbeknownst to them. The other thing is, the amount of time it takes to devote to insurance and billing. A lot of times, you say that you have a billing or insurance coordinator and they're full-time at that job. But when you really look at what the tasks that they do and perform, a lot of times they're pulled away from that position and they're helping, to answer phones and they fill in for other people in other areas. And, even though billing is one of the main functions in a dental practice, that always seems to get, slighted for one reason or another, because that patient that's in front of you typically takes priority of, making a phone call, calling the insurance, which we all love and hate, So, those are a couple of reasons why, just because there's not enough time and there's just not enough people.
Billing also requires a lot of specialized training, right? For the person who's going to be doing the coding and the billing and stuff, there's a lot of training that's necessary to at least be able to do it competently and do it right, right?
Correct. And not all insurances are created equally, and not all specialties or general dentistry or perio, pedo, ortho, oral surgery. Every code has its nuances. Every insurances may have specific ways that they want something billed, and it takes a lot of time to do that.
So if I'm a dentist or an oral surgeon or a specialist, what are the benefits I'm looking at to get out of outsourcing?
Well, the benefits are, you would have someone that's consistent on working your accounts. They're focused on your accounts. When we take over billing for clients, we try to streamline that process as much as we can. A lot of situations, we find where maybe a claim for an extraction with a future implant is being billed, and that implant gets denied strictly for the fact that a pre-treatment estimate was not sent prior to. And so again, knowing those little nuances with the insurance companies, when we file claims for our practices, we look at that whole picture, not only to make sure that the demographics are entered correctly and it's going to the right insurance company, but also what insurance is it and what do they require? What attachments do they require? So we do our best to send out clean claims from the day of the appointment, instead of waiting to get that denial and then having to work that denial and then resubmit it.
Song I hear sung all the time from
Oh, absolutely.
practices.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so clean claims are very, very important. And in order to get clean claims, I suppose you've got to be right up on the specialty coding and all of that to know what's required. Beyond me, beyond me. I'm glad there are people like you who help with that kind of stuff. I can handle patient collections and often do, but
Exactly.
the insurance is beyond me.
Yeah,
Uh,
and you're a great help. We love working with you guys. For patient balances, we think you're phenomenal.
it's a team made in heaven.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
Hey, if you've got any questions for Sarah, please go ahead and type them into the question box, and we will try and answer them live as we go along. You're not interrupting us. If this is a good topic for you, go ahead and hit the like button there, and we would appreciate that a whole lot. But while we're waiting for some questions, let's move right on. When they outsource, they don't have to outsource everything, right? They can outsource individual different things. What kinds of things could they outsource to you?
Yeah. So a lot of times, practices, they just may want to outsource one little thing here or there. You know, on occasion, we do have companies that want to outsource their entire billing department to us, but they could just outsource just their verifications if they just want us to submit their claims, with attachments. Some offices just have us tracking their aged insurance claims that have not been paid. Um, and for a select few practices, we will post payments and adjustments. There are those that they just want us to audit their accounts for them sporadically, whether it's for refunds or just insurance. Maybe somebody didn't know what they were doing. And so we do patient audit ledgers. And then we've also done treatment plan calculations, based on the insurance coverage and submit that. So really, it just depends on what your need is, and whether it's long term or short term. Sometimes we'll take over the whole billing just to clean it up and get somebody in your practice, to and train and then give it back to you.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I hear from practices regularly as I'm talking to my clients and other practices around the country. And one thing I hear more often than I would like to, and more often than anybody would hope, is that Yeah, well, our office manager left last week and realized she hasn't filed insurance for like 3 months and hasn't sent any patient statements out. Is that a good time to call in Sarah and say, help?
Absolutely. Hello. I need you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
We've also I have a partner who is a dental fraud examiner,
yeah,
and he does a lot of the cleanup, detective work after a practice has been embezzled, and it happens way more than anybody realizes. But then all he does is do the detective kind of work, and then it's left to other people to help clean the thing up and get it going.
absolutely.
You and I haven't talked about this, but can you help? Besides, you're a consultant anyway, so you do other things besides billing. But
Sure.
can you help a practice if they're transitioning software?
Absolutely, I can. So, like one of the main software companies that I help transition is with WinOMS. So that's a lot for oral surgeons. I've also helped with Dentrex, with EagleSoft, DSN, Open Dental. We have all kinds of knowledge on multiple platforms, that we work with. So, absolutely.
Because
And
I know a lot of them get very, very nervous when it comes time to do a transition. They
oh,
know they need to change, but the thought of it just puts them off, and they get very, very nervous about it.
yeah,
So
for
they,
sure. Yeah.
they need somebody to come along and hold their hand and tell them everything's going to be okay.
Exactly. I do a lot of hand holding.
Okay,
For
good.
sure.
So when you go in and evaluate a practice,
Mhm.
and maybe this is a loaded question, what kind of things do you see?
Well, a lot of things. So, I mean, I've gone into practices where, they'll have a stack of checks that have not been posted. And there was this one time I walked in and they were like, "Yeah, we're a little bit behind," and she had a stack about, inch thick. And then by the end of the day, they're like, "Well, we're a little more behind than what we thought." And they found, because the previous employee had left, and then they found a stack in her drawer that she had hidden away.
Ooh,
So, that's it was bad, let's just say. Um, I run into offices where, claims don't get submitted in a timely manner. And in this day and age, insurance companies continue to shorten that lifespan of how quickly you need to submit it. Some are 3 months. Um, I have a couple that have been 30 days that you have to submit that claim, otherwise it's going to be denied. And so by sitting on those claims and not submitting them in a timely manner, you could be losing your practice thousands and thousands of dollars. Um,
it would be very nice if the insurance companies also followed the prompt pay statutes. As much as they're squeezing the practices to get the things filed quickly.
Absolutely.
Um, it would be nice if they also followed the prompt pay statutes in the state and were able to pay the claims in a timely way as well. That's another dead horse I'm beating.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
what
Yeah.
else do you see? What kinds of other things do you see when you go in?
The other things that we see are, denied claims. So the insurance company may send you an EOB and it's denied, and instead of fixing the problem, actually reading that EOB to see why they denied it, they just resubmit it without making one change. You know, why do you think that's going to be paid just because you resubmitted it when it's exactly the same information? A lot of times we see demographics. I can't tell you how many times the demographics are not correct on that initial claim when it goes out. I work nonstop with practices, training their team members, the difference between a guarantor and insured, all of that, and understanding, the relationship is, if the child is the patient and the parent, it's not self. The patient is not self insured. The parent has the insurance, and then they just don't change that. So, that's usually the big issues. And just not having enough time to follow up on the claims. There'll be claims that just literally go untouched for months, and nobody makes a phone call to see why that claim has not been paid. Um, One of the other things I see is, different states have different regulations as far as adjustments go. So sometimes you can adjust, sometimes you don't have to adjust the balance off if you're in network with whatever the insurance is paid. Sometimes you do. You got to know your state rules and regulations. And there are some practices that don't. And there's been several practices that have lost thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years because their biller did not do it correctly. So
And your service doesn't cost that much.
no,
So hundreds of thousands of dollars.
no, no,
So sounds like a good idea to me.
yeah,
I was working with a medical practice at one time for collections. They had called me in, and I said to the doctor, "How many statements do you send out a month?" And she said, "Just over 1,000." And I said, "How many doctors are there?" And she said, "Oh, it's just me." And I said, "That's not possible. That's not possible. Can I take a look at your aging report?" And she brought it out, and it was literally this thick.
yeah,
And she was still sending monthly statements to patients she had not seen in 6 years.
wow,
I said, "Well, I'm going to save you a lot of money real fast. Let's just write off everything older than 2 years.
yeah,
And you won't have to send them statements, and it's going to save you a lot of money." And we got them straightened around and all caught up. So sometimes it's a matter of staffing. Sometimes it's a matter of training. Sometimes it's, there's a lot of turnover in the practices that I see, and
absolutely,
continuity of business is really hard.
absolutely, it
And
is.
so to have somebody who's watching that very, very important end of the business, I think is vital. It's
Right,
crucial.
right.
Let me say again, if you have any questions for Sarah or for me, please put them in the question box and we'll be happy to answer them. If this is a good topic for you, hit the like button so we know you're there and we know you like what we're talking about. I wanted to ask you too, Sarah. Let's say I'm a doctor and I'm thinking, maybe this is a good idea for me. Maybe, what's the process for me to get with you and see if it's a good idea? Because I
Sure.
imagine it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and again, we try to differentiate ourselves from other billing companies. I like to customize our processes and our plan based on your specific needs. I've always believed, I used to work in a dental office, an oral surgery practice, and I always want to treat my clients as I want to be treated. And so there's not a one shop stop that fits every need. And so the first thing that I always like to do is do a virtual meeting. I like to get to know, the people that's there, and find out, where your pain points are. Okay. And then we look at to see what your current processes are, review your AR and insurance, just to kind of get an idea of where, you really are. As far as if you're behind, if you're up to date. Like I have I have a client that they have very, very little and over 90. And I mean, very little.
That's great.
And so they really don't need us. They may need us to help for insurance verifications, but they pretty well have down, their claim payments and submissions, that they have that down pat for the most part. So we find your pain points. We work with your team to see, what, do you want to keep anything in house? Do you want to send anything out? What works best for you, and what are the strengths of your current employees, and do they have the time, and are you going to let them have that time? And then we decide what you want to outsource, and then we take off running with it. So
Very good. So
very simple process.
the best way is for them to just reach out to you.
Yep. Just leave.
and start the process. And if you want to get a hold of Sarah, here is her email address. Just go ahead and drop her an email. Make sure you tell her that you saw her on Mr. Cashflow Live.
Absolutely.
Score some brownie points for me. That would be good.
Covered raisins.
And if Sarah doesn't treat you well, you call me and let me know, and I'll throw chocolate covered raisins at her or something for chocolate covered raisin day. So they don't have to outsource everything. They can pick and choose based on what they can afford, obviously. Although for whatever they're doing, they're already paying money to do it.
Right. And we have different solutions. If people want to pay us on an hourly rate, we offer an hourly rate. If they want to pay just a lump sum, then, we have a monthly fee that we go by. And I mean, we do our best to accommodate and help the practices with their needs.
Fantastic.
I get asked, one question I get asked a lot of, well, why can't I just hire somebody? You absolutely can hire somebody, but you got to find that right person. And is it somebody that's you already have in-house that can transition to that position, or is it somebody that you need to bring in from outside? And as you had mentioned earlier, it takes a great talent to be able to bill, and you have to know how to finesse the insurance. You need to know how to be demanding with the insurance when it takes, being demanding. And so we also help train your team as well. I love to train staff members. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to train to help that employee grow and become a more valuable, asset to the practice. So you can absolutely hire somebody in-house, but when you hire that person, you need to give them the training and you need to give them the time to do their job. Otherwise, what's the point?
And don't try to go cheap, because skilled coders are not cheap.
Exactly.
They're well paid and well deserving of being well paid.
Absolutely.
So very good. Very good. Well, hey, I'm sold. If I was a dentist, I'd be calling Sarah. I'd be emailing her right at this email address. Actually, I call Sarah a lot, and because we do work together. I recommend Sarah. She recommends me, and I like it that way. Let me check one more time and see if we have a question. Yeah. Thanks, Bill. I'm not going to put that on the screen, but I got a comment from a friend of mine who's also works with TSI. It's more about TSI than it is about dental care solutions. So we'll just let that one go. But anything further, any last words, Sarah, that you want to share with everybody?
I mean, feel free to reach out. We offer a variety of solutions, dental care solutions, for any type of practice. My team is made up. I'm very particular on my team. That's a reflection of myself, and they all have dental experience, years and years of dental experience, years of billing. We do a lot of oral surgery clients as well. So my team understands the medical and the dental side of it, and we're here to help you.
Fantastic. Sarah, thanks so much for joining me on the broadcast today. I'm sure we'll be talking again very, very soon.
I'm sure we will.
And hopefully many of the people who are watching and my clients will be calling you as well.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for having me.
I think there's some very important information in our discussion today that could really benefit a practice. If you'd like to reach out to Sarah about your practice, you can email her and she will walk you through the process to get things going. If you'd like a no-cost cash flow checkup for your practice to evaluate all the different ways that you can improve your cash flow, feel free to call me anytime and join me every week right here for another episode of Mr. Cashflow Live. Your bottom line's going to thank you for it. As always, I am David Wiener, Mr. Cashflow from Cashflow Strategies. After all, it's your money. Keep more of it.